4 regular season games down and 4 to go. Tonight, the Boise Mud Dogs and their great ground game make their way to Maryland to match up with the potent passing attack of the Annapolis Navigators. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Maryland. Alongside producer extraordinaire Cameron Irvine and my partner Mike Improda, I'm Tim Hackett. It's week 5 of the inaugural SFL minor league season. Happy to have you with us wherever you're with us from. And look, there's no overstating this, Mike. With only half the season left, this is a crucial game for both teams.
Yeah, buddy. Both teams are 2-2, and what a battle we have today. A sneaky Boise team. They feel like they should be 3-1. Come to town as they blew out Lincoln last week, 31-17. They need to put back-to-back wins together. And the dangerous Navigators, they feel they should be 3-1. They didn't allow any touchdowns to Ottawa, but somehow lost 12-10. Both teams are fighting to move above 500 and step forward towards the playoffs. For the Mud Dogs, they rank last in defending the pass. Stopping Cam Curtis is critical. He leads the league through the air. On the other side, the Navigators defense ranks 4th against the run. Stopping Fox Highwind has to be the priority. The Fox leads the league in rushing. My 2 questions for today: can the Navigators stop the Boise running game, or can the Mud Dogs stop the Annapolis passing game? We find out the answers now. Let the show begin.
Strength on strength, the rushing game of Boise versus the passing game of Annapolis. We're underway from Maryland. Boise kicks off. A pair of 2-2 teams, a critical game this afternoon as we start the second half of the first season of the SFLm. Jared Crow on the return for Annapolis. He gets out to the 29, and the Navigators will set up shop there. It's no secret, Mike, this Annapolis team has one of the best offenses in the minor league. They're towards the top or at the top of the standings in pretty much every offensive category, and they've dominated 2 out of the 4 games that they've played and really struggled offensively the other 2.
Boise needs to be able to stop the pass. They haven't been able to do it all season long. They're last in the league, and they're up against the number 1 passing offense, the Annapolis Navigators, and they start off with a run.
Go to Scott Johnson on the ground to start with, and he's tackled for no gain by A.K. Jones, making a loss of 2 on first down for Scott Johnson.
The Navigators like playing at home, and so doesn't Scott Johnson. Last time we had the call, Johnson put up 4 TDs.
He's been one of the most productive running backs in the league. A lot of that production did, of course, come the last time we saw Scott Johnson back in week 3, his 3rd start of the season. Cam Curtis first pass, pump fakes. Now he'll launch it over the middle. It's hauled in by the tight end, Alex Daniel, a gain of 11 on 2nd down and long. Let's tell you about the Annapolis offense, one of the best in the league. Like we said, you got to look at Alex Daniel, the tight end. The quarterback is Cameron Curtis, who's been the most productive quarterback so far in the league. Scott Johnson is the tailback. Greg Soto is the fullback. The wide receivers, C.J. Arthur, Jared Crow, Christopher Ochoa, and 2 offensive linemen, stars that is, joining the pack this week. On 3rd and 1, the give to Johnson, and he's blown up. On 3rd and 1, he loses 2. The Boise defense with a big stand. He's tackled for a loss by Digger Graves. Annapolis will have to punt.
Excellent job by the Boise defense on the opening drive. This is what they're going to need to do. It's all about opportunity, and they didn't give Johnson anything.
Cody Heinen is the 1-star offensive lineman. He's been there the whole season. He wears number 7. He plays left tackle. And Dusty Wilson is the new member of this offensive line. He's the center. They could not stop Digger Graves there. Punt away from Rand Fullman. Matt Iorio waits, fields at his own 30, and is tripped up at the 33. It's been a great season return-wise for Matt Iorio, and he picks up about 4. So now our first look at the Boise offense, spearheaded, of course, by Fox Highwind, who is on the fast track to maybe being one of the MVP of the minor league. If you want to tip your hand a little bit here, 4 weeks in, Fox Highwind has been electric. What can Boise do here on the road? Fresh off of a win last week, their most convincing win of the season, 31-17 against Lincoln. Spencer Gordon to pass. He'll throw it on first down, and the pass is hauled in by Charlie Sweets. The number 2 wide receiver, he picks up 11, and Boise moves the chains.
Both teams are going to come in and mix it up. You saw Annapolis on the first play of their game. I thought they were going to pass. They handed it off to Johnson. Boise on their first play, they're the number 1 rushing team in the league. Thought they were going to give it to the Fox, and they come out throwing.
A great point, and see if either of these offenses can kind of uproot the game plan that both of the defense are sure to be expecting. They pick up 11 on first down. Now they'll give it to Fox Highwind, and he's got nowhere to go. Stopped up at the line of scrimmage by a pair of backers, including Eric Hammer, and out of the backfield, Solomon Kane, the safety, no gain.
Eric Hammer, he's got 42 total tackles. He's up to 43 and averages about 10.5 a game.
of those marks are top 5 in the league. A couple of really good linebackers on both teams, a couple of good defensive tackles, 1 or 2 great defensive backs, and of course all the talent on offense. These are 2 of the best teams in the minor league so far this season. There's no question about it. Second down and 10. Gordon to pass deep down the left sideline. It's knocked away, tipped incomplete by Garrison Blue. He was looking for Mark Martin down the left flank.
There he is. G-Money should have picked that one off, and the Mud Dogs are lucky that he dropped it.
About the rest of the Boise offense really quickly. Spencer Gordon, the quarterback. You know all about Fox Highwind, the tailback. Bill Cherry is the fullback. Mark Martin, Charlie Sweets, Matt Iorio, the trio of wideouts. There's Mark Martin. Delaney Nash is the tight end, and Butch Menner is the offensive tackle. He's been excellent so far this season. Boise's offensive line as a whole has been great. They're going to need to be big here. Third down and 10. Trips to the right for Gordon. He'll throw it underneath. It's hauled in. First down and more for Virgil Dent, the backup wide receiver. They needed 10. Dent gives them 12. Boise moves the chains.
Great job by the Boise offensive line. Gave Spencer Gordon the time that he needed to find out the backup tight end over the middle. That'll give him a first down, and they're on the other side of the field to the Annapolis 45.
Been an up and down season for Spencer Gordon, but he's fresh off of what I think is his best game of the season. If he can get it going, Boise might be a fearsome test. Gordon will throw it again. He's got Martin on a quick out route, and Mark Martin picks up 6, tackled again by Garrison Blue, who's moved over to the right side of the defense here for this game against Martin, the number 1 receiver for Boise.
The Boise offense, they put their hard hats on, they come to work, there's nothing fancy, and it looks like Robert Garrett Jr. is going to mix it up and try and depend on Spencer Gordon's arm a little more.
He's told you in the past that he wanted to take the load off of Fox Highwind. That hasn't really come to pass, and they will give it to Highwind here on second down, and a big hole for Highwind. Needed 4, gets 5. Boise moves the chains once again. Hammer makes the stop, but Fox Highwind doing what he does best.
Fox Highwind, he averages about 25 carries a game. More impressively, 5.5 yards per carry, and he picked up the first down there.
Better than 20 carries in every game so far. First in the league in carries, rushing yards, and tied for the lead in touchdowns with 4. Gordon to pass over the left seam this time, and it's hauled in by Elbert Russell, the number 2 tight end. He picks up a little bit more than 9, and Boise's offense is cooking here in the first quarter.
Magnificent job by the backup tight end. The pass was a little high, but he got up there just enough to bring it in 2nd and inches.
Boise uses their backups occasionally. You just saw 2 of them. Corey Mustard, the other tight end, gets in the mix occasionally as well. 2nd down and inches. Boise will pack the house. 7-man front to counter here for Annapolis. No score halfway through the first quarter. The give to Highwind. Huge hole up the middle for Fox. Highwind picks up 4 on 2nd down and short. Thrown down there by Michael Rochester, but Fox again moves the chains.
They ran right behind Butch Menner. He created the hole for the Fox, and he's starting to heat it up.
About the rest of the Annapolis defense on the line, Brock Craven and Tank Hutt are the ends. Sean Crooked and Mark Radson the tackles. Michael Rochester, Eric Hammer, Jeff Gagne the backers. Jared Brody and Garrison Blue the corners. Hayden Williams and Solomon Kane are the safeties. From right on the red zone on first down, Gordon to throw again, and it's hauled in again for a pickup of about 4 for Boise. That's Delaney Nash, their top tight end and one of the most productive tight ends in the league.
The Mud Dogs are just going to keep grinding, positive yardage. That's what they need.
And likes to spread it out. We mentioned they use the backups occasionally, but they don't spread it out too much. The brunt of their catches have been concentrated in their top 3 pass catchers, Martin, Sweets, and Nash, the tight end, who gets in on the action there. Play action on 2nd down. Now Gordon will go back to the tailback. It's Highwind. He makes his first catch. He's not used very often in the pass game, and he only picks up 1.
Fox Highwind's their best player, Tim. They're going to try and get him the ball any way they can.
6 catches for 12 yards, make it 7 for 13 now this season. Those are not really big numbers out of the passing game for a running back, but when you can be as dominant on the ground as Fox Highwind is, you understand why. Now 3rd down and 10, big spot early here for Boise. 3 wides and 2 tailbacks for Gordon. He'll look out to the far side, has a man wide open. It's Martin, tiptoes the sideline, and he steps out of bounds. Mark Martin had all kinds of space in front of him, but he steps out inches away from the first down line.
Awareness, awareness, awareness. Mark Martin had plenty of room, didn't know where he was on the field, and he stepped out of bounds. Oh, that's a killer. He should have been able to get the first down.
At first, he should have been able to get a lot more than the first down, to be honest, but now he might be saved. It's 4th and inches. Boise is going to bring the offense back out there. Annapolis stacks the box to counter a couple of tight ends here for the Mud Dogs. We'll let the play clock tick down to 5. This might be a bait and switch for Spencer Gordon. And it is. The patented SFL bait him to use a timeout, and Annapolis does not jump. Good dedication by the Navigator front.
Good discipline by the front four of the Navigators. I'm not too sure Robert Garrett's going to be happy with the outcome of this drive, but unfortunately, they've got Sammy Steele, and they'll come out for 3.
Discipline was indeed the word I was looking for there, Mike. Thank you. And so Sammy Steele will come out for the field goal here, we assume. And not the greatest game for Steele last week. It was a tough week for kickers in week 4 overall, to be honest. And Steele was just 1 of 3. His first 2 misses of the season. He's now 4 of 6. So he's on to attempt one from about 27 yards. Matt Blanton, the backup quarterback, is the holder. And the lefty Sammy Steele awaits the snap from Chris Haynes. Snap down, good hold. And a kick from Steele sails through. His bounce back campaign starts. Steele is good from 27, and Boise strikes first on the road.
That's exactly what Steele needed, a boost of confidence. He was only 1 for 3 last week and makes the short field goal. I'm not sure the Mud Dogs were happy with the way that drive ended up, but they were successful, and they're on the board first.
Made kick of the year for the man from El Paso, and Boise goes on the road and strikes first against this really solid Annapolis defense, which has been sneaky good this year. All the attention on their offense, deservedly so, but their defense has consistently gotten the job done. Here comes Jared Crow on the return. It's been a decent but not great year return-wise for Crow. He gets out across the 25 and gets out to the 28.
Here comes Cam Curtis. He leads the league in passing. He averages just over 250 yards a game. In my opinion, Tim, they're going to have to air it out to beat this Mud Dog team today.
Curtis 6th in the league in completion percentage, 1st in passing yards with over 1,000. Nobody else was even close prior to today. Tied for 1st in touchdown passes, 2nd most attempts, 2nd most yards per attempt. He's been excellent this year. They'll give it to Scott Johnson on 1st down. He spins around 1 tackle. Can't get past the 2nd. He picks up 6. Stopped there by Clay Jones, the stud middle linebacker here for Boise.
Looks like they want to get Johnson involved early. Good pickup there on 1st down. He'll take the 4 yards up to the 32.
Interesting how the game plan has changed for Annapolis. You and I have seen them twice, Mike, and SFL fans have seen them 4 times. They have 2 tailbacks, which most teams do, and when the Scott Johnson is the starting running back, they run it a lot more than when Hugo Reynoso is the starting running back. On 2nd and 6, they'll run it again. Hole opens for Johnson, and now it closes. He's hit out of the backfield by Rosca Santagria, the number 1 corner for Boise, but Johnson's still able to pick up 3.
Great strength by Johnson. Thought he was going to get stopped for no gain, but he kept moving and he kept fighting, and now he's up to the 35 with a gain of 2.
In case in point, Scott Johnson had 49 carries in his 2 starts. Hugo Reynosa had 36, so a lot more dedication to the ground when Johnson is the tailback. 3rd down and 3, Curtis will pass. He looks to the backfield. It's Johnson coming out of the backfield, and he's stopped before he can make the line to gain. Great open field tackle by the Boise linebacker, and it's Clay Jones once again. Big surprise, one of the best tacklers in the league, stops Johnson before he can cross the magical yellow line.
Clay Jones, he's 3rd in the league with total tackles. That was his 45th, and that's going to force the Navigators to punt.
Mud Dogs have an elite trio of tacklers in Clay Jones, Gary Marks, and Nick Rhodes. Haven't had to see Nick Rhodes come into play yet, but I am a huge Nick Rhodes fan. I don't mind saying, Mike, he's been great this season. He hasn't had to be used much because Clay Jones has also been fantastic. 2nd punt of the game for Rand Fullman. Iorio fields and picks up a couple. It's been a really good year for Iorio, like we said. Best in the league, just under 5 yards per punt return. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but there are a couple of others that are near him, but most guys are below 4, just for context's sake. And the 2nd offensive drive of the game coming up here for Boise.
The Mud Dogs have to be very pleased with this game, the way it started. They've gotten the ball back. They've stopped the Navigators twice. Look for Fox Highwind to start getting some more carries.
The offset eye here for Boise. 3 minutes to go in the first. Very delayed handoff. Here's Highwind. He has nowhere to go. Stopped up by Mark Radson and Jeff Gagne, who's excellent along the line of scrimmage out of the linebacker core. Mark Radson's big season continues. Highwind stopped for a loss of 1.
The Navigators are ready. They know Fox Highwind's going to touch the ball a lot. And right there, they settled for the 1-yard loss.
Highwind has been lethal so far this season, exactly 200 more yards than the next closest man. That's Connor Weston, but he made up some ground and then some in the first game. Not enough for an Albuquerque win. More on that as we go along. Gordon will flip it out out of the backfield. Here's Highwind. He has nowhere to go once again. Tackled again by Jeff Gagne. Garrison Blue is there to help, but Gagne, as we said, dominates along the line of scrimmage. Highwind gets nothing through the air.
trying to get Fox Highwind involved. They want him to touch the ball. Every time he carries it or catches it, they feel like it's going to go for big yardage, but the Navigators stopped them and no gain.
Our third down and long now, 4 wides, and Highwind is the tailback for Gordon. He has to roll out off of 1 foot, throwing over the middle. It's tipped and picked off. Annapolis somehow comes up with it on the tip drill. He was looking for Sweets, and it's taken away by Trent Scarney, the dime back. He's been huge for Annapolis this season, and the Navigators get the first takeaway of the game.
Spencer Gordon threw it in a big traffic jam. The ball got knocked away, and Scarney was the fortunate beneficiary, and he puts Annapolis right where they need to be, inside the 30. And oh boy, Tim, Boise better be careful here.
Spencer Gordon's 7th interception of the season. That's the most in the league, and it's been an up and down season for him, like we've said. Some good, some bad. That's bad for sure. 7 picks against 5 touchdowns, and Annapolis will start from the Boise 28-yard line. They'll spread it out, bunch to the left. They'll fake the handoff to Johnson. Curtis is under pressure, and he goes down, a loss of 6. They gave up 6 sacks last week. Boise is on the board here.
Big sack by Gary Burney. You see the brute strength. He just floated right through that line and nailed Curtis.
Gary Burney is on an absolutely torrid hot stretch. He had 3.5 sacks last week in Boise's win over Lincoln. He's got the first one today, and the Annapolis offensive line going the wrong way in terms of their sack totals. They only gave up 2 over the first 3 weeks. Curtis will roll out. Now he'll throw back across his body. It's ruled of fumbles. The fullback couldn't pick it up, and Rosca Santagria picks it up. Plenty of green grass in front of him. There's nobody within a half mile, and Rosca Santagria has his 2nd defensive touchdown of the season. The 2nd scoop and score of the afternoon.
Not really sure where Curtis was going. I thought he was making a nice little scramble as the pocket collapsed around him. He threw it backwards. I think it was a lateral, backwards lateral. Santagria, he was alert, picked it up and took it back. And man, Boise's up 10-0 early.
No, the interception doesn't come back to hurt them at all, and in fact, they get another gift. Greg Soto, the fullback, was the intended target. He dropped the pass as Curtis pirouetted off of his right toes. There was nobody else nearby. There was 1 offensive lineman, and that was it. 2nd defensive score for the stat man. No challenge coming from Annapolis. Sammy Steele on for the PAT, takes his time. Poor snap, good hold, and the kick from Steele sails up and through. This defense for Boise, Mike, it's been off and on this season, but they get another defensive touchdown. They now have 2. No other team has more than 1 this season.
Fox Highwind, I think he leads the team with touchdowns, and Rosca Santagria, he's right behind him with 2.
He is indeed tied for 2nd with 2 touchdowns, and the only guy with a pick 6. Well, I say that he was one of a few with a pick 6, and now he's one of 2 with a fumble recovery for 6. Okay, now Annapolis with a 10-0 deficit at home. Jared Crow tries to go up the middle, and he gets out to the 29. I think that's where he's gotten to every single time in this game. And Annapolis, Mike, they've got to dig out of a big hole. We know that their offense is good, but can they come back from a 10-0 deficit early against this defense?
It's the first quarter. The Annapolis Navigators know how to score points, but right now, Boise's got them back on their heels early.
C.J. Arthur has been silent to this point of the season. I mean, in fact, all of the pass catchers have been silent for Cameron Curtis. I think Alex Daniels, the only man besides the tailback, Scott Johnson, who's caught a pass. On first down, they will give to Scott Johnson. Huge hole for Scott Johnson down the left sideline. There he goes.
And Johnson's going to take it all the way for a TD. Unbelievable answer. I thought Boise had all the momentum. They gave it to Johnson, and he takes it 75 yards for the score. Annapolis is back in the game. And what a great play by the offensive line. Cody Heinen and the newly signed center, Dusty Wilson. They created a big hole. Johnson turned on the burners, and it's on the board for 6.
How about that run for Scott Johnson, Mike? He continues to dominate on those big outside runs this season.
Unbelievable. Scott Johnson may have just saved this game. Nothing was going right for the Navigators early on, but 1 carry, a cloud of dust, and he puts up 6 points. That'll get the fans fired up. William Richardson on for the extra point. And that'll make it a 3-point ball game. And just when you didn't think the Navigators had anything going for them early on here in the first quarter, Scott Johnson rips one off. And this is getting exciting now. 38 seconds left in the first quarter. Let's see how the Mud Dogs respond.
Another huge touchdown run for Scott Johnson, Mike. That's a way to respond, huh?
Unbelievable. The Navigators needed that, and they needed it quick, and that's what Scott Johnson provides.
I need a new headset, clearly, so I can actually hear and see what's going on. But another huge run for Scott Johnson in Annapolis. We were just saying, can they come back? All of a sudden, they're right back in this game. It's 10-7 now with less than a minute to go in the first quarter.
Crazy things seem to happen in the SFL every week. Nothing surprises me, Tim.
So here we go. Boise back out on
Your patience, we're good to go, at least for now. What can Boise do after they just got hit with the big running ability of Scott Johnson? Another long touchdown run for him 2 weeks after he put up 4 rushing scores. They'll give it to Fox Highwind, their bell cow. He picks up 8 on first down.
They need to lean on the Fox. They want him to get him the ball. He's their guy. He's been doing it all season long, and they want to get him involved early in this game.
So Spencer Gordon will spread it out now with a 10-7 lead. Time ticking here in the first quarter. Boise doesn't have to run another play if they don't want to. They will. They'll give it to Highwind. Seconds left on the clock, and Highwind, huge hole off left tackle. Big gain for Highwind. Stopped by Michael Rochester. Fox Highwind continues to eat. That brings us to the end of the first quarter. A lot of offense. These two ground games have come to play, and Boise leads at 10-7 at the first quarter break.
Great first quarter. Very entertaining, and great job by the Boise Mud Dogs to have this lead 10-7 on the road after one.
Thanks a lot for being here with us this afternoon. Tim Hackett, Mike Croto with Cameron Irvine working behind the scenes. Sorry about the loud noise. That was my bird call, I guess, as I continue to try to work out things on my end. So sorry about that. Got too excited for that Scott Johnson run, but we should be good to go now. First play of the second quarter, Boise on top of Annapolis 10-7. Critical game for both of these two teams, which come in today at 2-2. They give us to Highwind, and he picks up 2. Tell you about this Annapolis defense. We introduced you to all the people involved in it, but sneakily, Mike, and this, some of the burden of this falls on you and I suppose, but quietly, this Annapolis defense has been really, really good so far this season.
Yeah, not too bad. The defense is 5th in the league, only allowing 300 yards a game. But more importantly, they're better in points. They rank 2nd. They only give up 14 a game.
Highwind trying to change that, tries to cut outside, and Jared Brody, who's moved over to the left side of the defense for this game, combines with Tank Cut and stops Highwind for a loss of 1.
Last time we saw Tank Hutt, he was the defensive player of the game. He had a couple of sacks. He had a pick 6, and right there, he makes a big hit behind the line, a loss of 2.
That pick 6 against Lincoln 2 weeks ago was the first by a D lineman in the SFL in years. We're not even sure how long ago it was. Now the pass over the middle by Gordon. It's picked off again. Another turnover, and once again, it's Trent Scarney, his 2nd interception of the game. The dimeback, the backup with another huge play.
Trent Scarney right now is the defensive player of the game. He's got 2 interceptions. Spencer Gordon's going to be seeing him in his nightmares. And now the Navigators here at home certainly have the momentum on their side.
Annapolis only had 3 takeaways coming into today, only 2 of them by star players, including that aforementioned pick 6 by the defensive end, Tank Cut. Now, Scarney has 2 interceptions this year, and Terrence Sales, the nickel corner, also has an interception. You can't give this Annapolis offense this many more chances. 5 wides here for Curtis. He lofted deep over the left seam. This is one of their patented plays, and it's hauled in by C.J. Arthur. He gets all the way inside the 40. A look at the number 1 wide receiver in the SFLm.
That's what this Annapolis team does best. They pass the ball, and there's the best receiver for this team, C.J. Arthur, for a big gain.
4th in the league in catches, 1st in receiving yards with 337, and tied for the league lead with 2 touchdowns. For 5 total wide receivers that have caught at least 2. 3 of them are playing in this game today, and there's one of them, C.J. Arthur. Big gain for him. First down inside the 40. Late handoff for Johnson. He's got nowhere to go. Blown up on the outside by Gary Marks. Haven't gotten to talk about him yet. He's been fantastic this season. Lost 1 for Johnston.
The outside linebacker out of Pottsville, PA. The Mud Dogs were in the 4-4, and that's a tough defense to run against.
Tell you about the rest of this Boise defense. Haven't been able to do so yet. The defensive ends, Buggy Mosley, JoJo Shalizzi, the New Jersey Nuisances, the defensive tackles, A.K. Jones and Gary Burney, who've been really good over the last couple of weeks. Second down and 11 for Cameron Curtis. Quick drop, and he'll fling it over to the far sideline. It's hauled in by Christopher Ochoa. That's his first catch of the afternoon. He's been hit and miss sometimes this season, but when he's on, he's way on, and he hauls it in for the first time. The rest of the defense, the linebacker core, Gary Marks, Clay Jones, and Digger Graves, a really good trio. The defensive backs, Rosca Santagria and Ricky Thornton, the corners, Thomas Smith and Nick Rhodes are the safeties. So now you're all caught up. Third down and 7 here from Annapolis from the edge of field goal range for William Richardson, who's been not very busy this season. Curtis will fling it over the right seam, looking for Jared Crow. It's knocked away. Clay Jones is there on the coverage again. Crow couldn't haul it in, fourth down.
Navigators want to try and pass the ball. They were in a passing situation. It was 3rd and 7, and number 58, Clay Jones, read it beautifully.
Clay Jones has been fantastic so far this season. 5 pass deflections coming in, 1 or 2 already in this game. That was 3rd in the league and 1st among linebackers. He's been excellent. And Clay Jones, Gary Marks, and Nick Rhodes have been tackling machines for Boise. Those 3 guys are all top 5 in the SFL in tackles. Nobody else has 3 guys in the top 10. Forget the top 5. You haven't had to see too much out of Nick Rhodes to this point of the season, to this point of the game, halfway through the second quarter. So Rand Fullman on to punt from inside enemy territory, directionally kicks it towards the left corner. It bounces once and rolls out of bounds at the 7-yard line. So pretty good result for Fullman, net of about 28 or so, and Boise will start inside the 10.
Beautiful looking punt by Fullman. They're going to play the field position game, and Boise's going to have their drive ahead of them. They're starting from the 7, and Spencer Gordon needs to be careful. He's already up to 2 interceptions. They need to give Fox the ball.
8 total picks now on the season for Spencer Gordon. You're right. That's got to change. There are a few things that Boise really needs to clean up down the stretch. This isn't one of them. Fox Highway's been great all season. He dashes up the right guard and picks up a gain of 7.
Halfback dive, that's what they do best, Tim. Fox Highwind picks up 7. They like that.
So Fox Highwind is one of 3 running backs that have started every game for his team. Boise has only 1 star quarterback and only 1 star running back. Most teams have at least 2 of one of those positions. Boise's the only team with only 1, so Highwind has gotten a lot of action, and he's made the most of it. They'll go to him again, and he's got nowhere to go. Mark Radson stops Fox Highwind for a loss of 1. Second TFL of the game for Radson.
Mark Radson really stepping in, making big plays. He's putting the pressure on the Mud Dogs deep in their territory. It'll bring up 3rd and 4. They're going to pass.
Even though Highwind has gotten so much run, so many carries, he's still been loads more effective than all of his nearest competitors. He's just been that good. 3rd down and 4 here for Gordon. He'll fling it over to the right sideline. It's hauled in by Charlie Sweets, but he's a yard short of the line to gain. They needed 4. Sweets only gets 3 before he falls out of bounds.
Second time they've gone to Charlie Sweets on 3rd down. He's done a beautiful job to get himself open, but his awareness and not being able to find that 1st down marker, that's been the issue for him.
He's also got 2 touchdowns on the season, Sweets. So does Mark Martin. We mentioned there are 5 guys in the league with 2 touchdown catches. Martin, Sweets, and C.J. Arthur on the other side are 3 of them. But Sweets could not make it happen that time. It's a high snap hauled in by Cameron Collier, who is now once again the only star punter in the league. He gets it out just past midfield. It's hauled in there by Jared Crow, and he gets a return of about 2. Good coverage by Boise to stop up a solid return man for Crow, but Annapolis will start with the ball right on the midfield stripe.
Nice job by the Navigators defense. They did what they had to do after that punt pinned the Boise Mud Dogs inside their 10. Now they're set up with great field position at midfield.
Checking out the chat, they said that was the time and space for a big Fox Highwind run, and I had to agree. That's about the down and distance where he gets one a game, but didn't happen for him there. So Curtis will now take over. Has a man open on the near side. It's Jared Crow. 1 spin move back to the inside, and a big gain for Crow. Give him 19 on 1st down.
That's why Cam Curtis is the #1 passer in the SFL minor league. Jared Crow with the nice out route, and Curtis hit him right on the money. That's big yardage, and they're taking it deep inside the Mud Dogs territory.
Big game for Jared Crow. That's his 10th catch of the season. He's up to 140 total yards. He had 5 catches for 70 yards in week 3 against Lincoln, and in the other 3 total games, 4 catches for 51, though we did have a touchdown all the way back in week 1 against Madison. And the Lynx with a huge upset win on the road against Albuquerque. They're now 3-2, and they've won 3 straight. And they will play Boise next week. Fresh set of downs. Curtis over the middle looking for Alex Daniel, and it's hauled in. A gain of exactly 10. Annapolis moves the chains again.
This Navigator team likes to use Daniel Moore as a possession receiver. He does a great job blocking for Scott Johnson, but when he's involved in the passing game, that's when this team is really dangerous, Tim.
Alex Daniel has been heating up over the last couple of weeks. He's tied for second among tight ends in catches, third in total yards, but almost all that action has come over the last 2 games. First and 10 from just outside the red zone. Curtis will launch it down the left sideline looking for Arthur, and it's tipped away incomplete. Guess who? Rosca Santagria was there to tip it away. Second down.
Santagria is really turning into one of the better defensive backs in this league. He makes his presence known, and he almost picked that off.
19 players had, not counting second stringers like Trent Scarney, I guess, right? 19 players before today had at least 1 interception. 3 of them turned those into a pick six, I should say, but Rosca Santagria was the only one that had a pick 6 of longer than 30 yards. He's got another PB in this game. Over the middle now goes Curtis, and he has the pass tipped away. Curtis looking for a flag, looking for Frank Hubbard, the backup wideout, knocked away.
Great hit by the linebacker. He popped the wide receiver coming over the middle. And was that number 58, Gary Burney, or Clay Jones? I'm sorry, check that, Tim. Clay Jones. And what a lick he just put on Jared Crow.
There's loads of stud middle linebackers across this SFL minor league. If any Major League GMs are on the lookout for one, there's loads of them, but Clay Jones is one of the best. Third down and 10 here for Annapolis. Curtis swings it over the right seam. It's dropped. He had Christopher Ochoa. Plenty of space. It would have been first and goal inside the 5. Ochoa couldn't haul it in. That brings up 4th down.
Perfect play call, perfect catch. Ochoa's going to want that back.
Been a real boomer bust season for Ochoa. 4 total games. He's had 5 or more catches twice, 2 or few catches the other 2 times. And frankly, Mike, the 2 games that we've seen, those have been the 2 bust games for Ochoa, weeks 1 and week 3. But again, that corresponds to Annapolis running the ball more, so that means fewer available catches maybe for Ochoa and the rest of the offense. Either way, here comes William Richardson for a 38-yard field goal, and he knocks it through. He's good from 37, and Richardson now 5 of 5 on this young SFL minor league season.
They'll take the 3 points. It'll tie up the game. But the Navigators are going to want that drive back. They should have had the first down for an opportunity to score a touchdown. But this keeps things close. They tie it up. And now we got a ball game, Tim.
Both teams have missed chances, huh? They've gotten deep into enemy territory just inside the red zone or just outside the red zone here for Annapolis. They have to settle for short field goals, but both teams have big touchdowns, and that's why we've got a tie ball game. Halfway through the second quarter, 10 apiece, a pair of 2-2 teams. Critical game for both sides. Matt Iorio on the return here for Boise. One sidestep gets out to the 27 and no further. Nice work by Chris Franken, the backup defensive lineman for Annapolis. And so Boise will start off from the 29.
Yeah, good job by the coverage team, although Boise has it out to the 30. Anything past the 20 when you can open up your series, they'll take it. They'll start from there. And again, Tim, it'll be interesting to see how Spencer Gordon keeps his composure.
Boise has been fantastic at keeping Spencer Gordon upright, but the other thing to think about is that they don't pass the ball very much. They won't pass it here. They give us to Fox Highwind. When you have Fox Highwind, this is why you run it as much as they do. Solid gain of 4 on first down for Highwind, stopped by the safety Hayden Williams. So Boise has only allowed 1 sack all season. That came last week, courtesy of Lincoln's Chris Porter. We know how good Lincoln's front 4 is, but just to put that in context, I mean, Spencer Gordon doesn't throw the ball very much. He has 97 pass attempts coming into today. That's last among all 6 quarterbacks with 4 starts. It's actually last among all teams when you even factor in all the quarterbacks that have 2 or more starts. They'll give it to Highwind once again, and he's stopped up once again. Tackled for a loss of 1 on the outside by Jeff Gagne. Surges forward from the linebacker spot.
Great job by Jeff Gagne to read the run. They came out in the 4-3 defense. They know Highwind's going to get the ball. It's mano-a-mano, and that time Gagne won the battle.
Gagne top 12 in the league in tackles and 7th in the league in solo tackles. Add another one of each to his tally here. 3rd down and 7. Gordon will float it over the right seam, and the pass is hauled in. 1st down, Boise. They continue to move the chains. Gordon finds his man that looks like Delaney Nash, the tight end. Well, check it. I guess it's Charlie Sweets. Sure looked like a 40. Whatever. Charlie Sweets with another big pickup. They move the chains.
That's when Spencer Gordon's at his best. When he stays under control, he lets the wide receivers find themselves open, and he gave a nice pass to Charlie Sweets. That's good enough for the 1st down.
3rd catch for Sweets today by my mark. Came into today with 11 catches. Only had 3 catches all last game. 1st down and 10. They'll fling it over to the far side. The pass is dropped. He had a man wide open. It looked like Elbert. Check that. It's Fox Highwind out of the backfield. That's why I was so surprised. He's usually sure-handed. The few times that they use him, he couldn't haul that one in.
I think Fox Highwind's mind got a little bit ahead of himself. He saw some open field, felt like that could go for a big play, and he dropped the pass.
6 catches for 12 total yards before today for Fox Highwind. They don't use him very much. A lot of teams use their backs as pass catchers a lot more, but he's so effective on the ground they don't need to use him. On 2nd down, they'll try to fling it to Corey Mustard, their 3rd tight end, who they do use quite a bit, and Mustard can't haul it in. Good on-ball defense by Annapolis once again. That makes it 3rd and 10.
Corey Mustard, he was open. Right now, the Mud Dogs, it's starting to become contagious. The case of the dropsies.
We've seen a lot of drops on both sides, and on both sides of the ball even. A lot on offense and a lot on defense. It'll get tightened up as we go along here and as we get into the major leagues as well, of course. 3rd down and 10, 4 wides here for Spencer Gordon. Straight drop back, sees his time run out, flings it over to the far side. Charlie Sweets makes the catch, lowers his shoulder, and Charlie Sweets picks up the 1st down. Needed 10, got 12, and Charlie Sweets delivers again.
Charlie Sweets with his 4th reception, Tim. He knows he's going to be involved, and nice job, the determination to get that 1st down.
Mentioned that Boise doesn't pass it very much, but when they do, it's often for big gains. Martin and Sweets are both top 5 in the league in yards per catch. Sweets averages better than 15 yards per catch. That time he gets 12. Boise stays on the field. 1st down from inside of the 50-yard line. Another straight drop back here for Gordon. He'll float it over the middle of the field, has a man, and it's hauled in. Is it Sweets again? No, this time it is Delaney Nash, the tight end. He picks up 19, his 2nd catch of the afternoon.
The big tight end, Delaney Nash, used his height. He's 6'5", and he needed every inch to bring that one in. But more impressively, how did he hang on to that? What a huge hit by Garrison Blue.
And Blue went low to try to get into Nash's gut as he brought in the pass. Really nice hands by Nash. Only had 3 catches for a total of 15 yards last week. It's about an average for him, and he's already got 2 big catches in this game. Gordon to throw on 1st down, swings it over to Bill Cherry, the fullback. He makes the catch. That might have been a bad idea. He's snowed under immediately. Garrison Blue with the rallying tackle. G-Money rebounds from failing to make that last play. He stops Cherry for a loss of 3.
G-Money, he's starting to feel it. This game is intense, and he came up and made the 3-yard loss for the big hit.
Anye was there too. 1st TFL of the season for Garrison Blue. Jared Brody, the other corner, does have one. And that drops Cherry for a loss of 3. Straight drop back for Gordon. Has the quick hitter on the left side. It's caught by Mark Martin this time, their number 1 wide receiver. Brought down by Hayden Williams after a gain of 5.
It's no secret what Robert Garrett Jr. is doing here in this game against Annapolis. The Navigators, they're selling out on the run. But Robert Garrett Jr. and his offensive coordinators, Jack Brown and Gabriel Manning, they're mixing it up. And right now, it's about a 50-50 pass-run ratio, and this looks effective.
Martin top 10 in the league in targets, catches, and top 5 in receiving yards quietly coming into today. 3rd down and 8. Gordon floats the right side. They've flooded that whole side. He's got a man wide open. It's hauled in for a 1st down by Matt Iorio. He's been quiet all season. Big-time catch on 3rd down. Boise moves the chains again.
And this is what I was talking about earlier, Tim. Spencer Gordon, let him do what he's capable of doing. That's throwing the short passes. They're efficient, and now they're in business on the 12.
Iorio was shut out last week. No catches on 1 target. Big catch for him here. 1st down from the 12. They hand off to Highwind, and he's ripped down from behind. That brings us to the 2-minute warning. Nice tackle from the back. I think it was Brock Craven. He stops Highwind for a gain of just 1. This is the Simulation Football Minor League on YouTube. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon, alongside Mike Improto with Commissioner and Producer Extraordinaire Cameron Irvine. My name's Tim Hackett. Thanks so much for joining us. Game 2 of our weekly Wednesday quadruple header. 2 more good games coming your way later on this evening. 2nd down and 9 from just outside of the 10-yard line. They'll give it to Highwind. Stretches out to the right side. Decent gain for Highwind. He picks up 3. Stopped again by Jeff Gagne. He's been great over the last couple of weeks, today included.
Jeff Gagne, he's really stepping up his game. He's been all over the field this afternoon, Tim. It brings up 3rd and 6. I want to see if they go to the Fox or if they let Gordon try to air it out here with this short, condensed field.
Let's see what they do. They will pass. Deep drop back for Gordon. Has a man over the middle of the field, and it's hauled in for a touchdown. Delaney Nash with his first touchdown catch of the season. That's good from 9 yards out, and Boise takes the lead again.
Great job by this Boise Mud Dog team to respond after the Navigators felt like they had the momentum, tying it up 10-10. And Spencer Gordon looked excellent on that drive.
Gordon sneaks it in between the 2 best backers that Annapolis has, Gagne from the left outside and Hammer from the middle, and Nash just ran right between them, and Gordon threaded the needle perfectly. Heck of a link up, and you're right, Gordon has been excellent in this game and on that drive specifically. It's back-to-back really solid games for Gordon, those 2 picks today. If you can overlook that, of course. Still 90 seconds left in the half, and Sammy Steele on for the PAT, and he knocks it through once again. He's perfect on those this season, and Boise takes a 17-10 lead. But, Mike, you and I have seen this time and again, and SFL fans have seen this all spring long. There is never too little time for Annapolis to score. I mean, maybe Ottawa would try to disagree with that statement, but they only allowed 1 touchdown last week. But Annapolis can make something out of nothing with how strong this offense is.
When you have Scott Johnson along with the number 1 rated quarterback Cameron Curtis behind center, this game is never out of reach.
Here comes Jared Crow. We mentioned he's been solid on kick returns this year. Not a whole lot doing for him there. Return of about 20, gets out to the 26, and some jawing going on here between Crow and that looked like number 90, Niles Kane, back up for Boise. I'm not sure how much I've seen that in the SFL, but there, hands towards the face and everything. No penalty flags, thank goodness, but okay, we've seen some Emperor's flare, I guess, here on this fine afternoon in Maryland. What can Cameron Curtis and the Navigators do? Now trailing by 7, less than 90 to go. They'll hand it off to Scott Johnson. He's blown up. No gain off the left tackle, trying to run behind Cody Heinen, and he's stopped for no gain by A.K. Jones.
Tim, these players know what's at stake. Most football players are very temperamental. That's 90% temper and 10% mental. These guys are fired up.
Remember, I mean, Annapolis had only given up 3 total touchdowns on offense coming into today, and so that's the 4th touchdown that their defense has conceded. Of course, Santa Maria has the other one on defense for Boise. Again, they'll hand it off to Johnson. Annapolis going a little conservative here, and again he's stopped in the backfield. JoJo Shalizzi and Gary Marks with a tackle for loss.
The linebacker blitz, Gary Marks and JoJo Shalizzi, the defensive end, they collapsed on the run, and this will be a tough 3rd and 11 for the Annapolis offense.
Both of those guys had 3 TFLs coming into today. They combined to stop Johnson there. They're going to have to throw it here, you would think. Curtis, a couple steps on his drop. He'll fling it over to the far sideline. It's hauled in by Chris Armstrong, and that's not going to get the job done. Annapolis bleeds clock. They don't move the ball at all. They pick up 2 net yards. Armstrong on the catch there, his first of the afternoon, and the Navigators will punt it away with 27 seconds to go.
The Mud Dogs have done what they've needed to do so far in this first half. They're up by 7 points, 27 seconds left. They have all 2 timeouts, Tim. Let's see what they do when they get the ball back. Let's see if they get aggressive or just sit on it and go into the half.
Boom or bust nature of this Annapolis offense continues. 25 seconds left in the half. Rand Fullman boots it away. Really good kick. Out inside the 35 is Iorio, and he runs right into one of the defenders. Didn't get a whole lot on the return, maybe 3 yards. And so Boise will start from their own 36. 2 timeouts, as you said, Mike, in 18 seconds. Any chance that we see Gordon air it out here?
I know Robert Garrett wants to be aggressive. Spencer Gordon could come out and air it out. I wouldn't be surprised, but he better be careful. He's already had 2 picked off.
We've seen stranger things happen over the course of this minor league season, haven't we? But Annapolis will send 7 into the box. Boise with only 2 wide receivers. They'll hand it off to Highwind, and he's blown up. No gain. It looked like Sean Crooked might have gotten in there on the stop out of the defensive tackle spot. It was indeed Crooked. Clock still runs. Less than 10 to go. They'll hand it off to Highwind once again. A gain of just one more, back-to-back 1-yard gains, and now Gordon will call a timeout with 3 seconds left.
Not sure what Spencer Gordon has up his sleeve, but to call a timeout with 3 seconds left, you're up by 7 going into the half on the road. It'll be interesting to see if they try and throw a Hail Mary here.
Yeah, so 63 yards away from the end zone. We'll see if this is within Spencer Gordon's range, if you will, if they just decide to play it safe. As we mentioned earlier, Fox Highwind is good for one of those massive runs a game. He's had a touchdown run, in fact, of better than 80 yards in each of the last 3 games. They're 63 yards away. Delayed handoff to Highwind, and he is stopped up. This Annapolis front has been ready for Highwind all game. Eric Hammer stops Highwind for a loss of 2, and that'll bring us to halftime.
Yeah, not sure why Boise called the timeout right before the half if all they were going to do was hand it off to Highwind, but they'll be happy with the 7-point lead after the first 2 quarters.
And Boise has played pretty well so far, Mike. They've gotten some good defense, some great defense from Rosca Santagria. They've got a 7-point lead to show for it here at the half, and as we mentioned at the outset, there's really no overstating it, especially in lieu of Madison's win over Albuquerque in the first game of this quadruple header. This is a massive game for both of these 2 teams. Madison is now 3-2. Albuquerque is now 3-2. The winner of this game will also be 3-2, and the loser's 2-3. That means just by default they're on the outside looking in with only 3 games to go.
This is the ultimate swing game, as you mentioned, Tim. The winner goes to 3-2. They keep their hopes alive, while the loser falls to 2-3 and really puts themselves into a hole. But right now, it's the defense of the Boise Mud Dogs, and Rosca Santagria's run back for a touchdown on that fumble recovery. That's the difference halfway through this game.
Seen some good offense across this league, across this minor league season, Mike, but you and I have seen games like this, and fans have seen this as well. A lot of times it's a defensive play. That's the make or break moment. And we saw that for Annapolis in week 3, the Tank Hut pick 6. And right now the difference in the game is that Rosca Santagria scoop and score of better than 50 yards. And Boise has a 7-point lead as we start the second half. Spencer Gordon to throw. He'll launch it deep down the left seam. Has a man wide open. It's hauled in by Elbert Russell, the backup tight end. A cavalcade of navigators are there to bring him down. They stop Russell at the 9-yard line. A huge link up for Gordon to his backup, and Boise in business.
What a play by the Boise Mud Dogs. They had a little play action. It pulled the linebackers up, and that was just enough room for the backup tight end to break free. And now Boise opens up the half, and they're down to the 10-yard line, Tim. This is exactly what Robert Garrett and the Mud Dogs needed.
Have to wonder why they didn't break out a play like that at the end of the first half, but no matter if they're going to do it to start here in the second. Tim Hackett, Mike and Proto with Cameron Irvine behind the scenes. Happy to have you along with us. 2-2 Boise against 2-2 Annapolis, just underway here in the second half. Offset eye for Spencer Gordon. Boise leads 17-10. Drop back for Gordon. He'll float it over the middle of the field, and the pass is dropped. It's the tackle, Willie Bryant. I wondered if we would see this, Mike. He had a catch last week. He was wide open in the end zone, and he drops it.
Robert Garrett Jr. reaching into his bag of tricks. The tackle, he reported eligible. That was the perfect play call, but he just couldn't catch the pass. Oh, he'll be looking at that one on the film saying, I want that back.
Can't believe it. They drew it up for him 2 weeks in a row. He couldn't haul it in this time. Now they'll play it safe for Highwind. One cutback from out to in, tripped up at the line of scrimmage by Jared Brody. Michael Rochester was there to help bring Highwind down after a gain of 2. Just a crazy play, Mike. We've not seen that out of any other team so far this season.
First time I've ever seen an offense in the SFL pros or SFL minors utilize their linemen, but that was a great call.
Robert Garrett Jr. innovating. It doesn't work out for him there, and so Boise will spread it out. 5 wides and a tight end. 3rd down and goal from the 7. Gordon takes the snap. 4-man rush for Annapolis. Gordon's pass over the middle. It's knocked away. Great coverage by Annapolis. And Eric Hammer, this stud middle linebacker, was there to swat it down like a middle blocker with 2 hands.
Great job by the Navigators defense. Nice goal line stand. They were helped out by that drop pass, but giving up 3 right out of the gates. They'll be happy just to be down by 10.
especially after how Boise got down here right out of nowhere. That huge link up from Gordon to Russell, the backup, and then Annapolis locks it down. They only give up 2 more yards, and Sammy Steele will come on to attempt his second field goal of the game. Matt Blanton is the holder, and the lefty Steele knocks it through from 24. Steele trying to right the ship after missing 2 last week. He's 2 for 2 today, and Boise takes a 10-point lead.
Very surprising, Tim. Annapolis really counting their lucky stars. They should be down by a little more, but it's only a 10-point game. There's still plenty of time left here in the third quarter, but they're going to need to answer, and they're going to need to answer fast, and that's why Cam Curtis, C.J. Arthur, Jared Crow, and Christopher Ochoa are the most dangerous passing offense in the league.
Certainly have lived up to that billing over the balance of the season, and now Crow trying to make something happen on the return. Does a little shimmy and gets out to the 28, and this is about where Annapolis will start. I should say this is about where they have started pretty much every game, or every drive. Don't really have a drive summary, but Mike, I mean, something that I've been analyzing for Annapolis this season, boom or bust is really the best way that I can look at it. They have scored 30 or more points twice. They've scored 15 or less points the other 2 times. And even just in games, it's often all or nothing. But the problem for other teams is that when they get it all, they get it all. They go for touchdowns a lot more often than other teams would like. Here's a big play opportunity for Annapolis on first down, but Ochoa can't haul in the pass down the right seam. Good coverage by Boise.
Yeah, great job by the backup cornerback, Terrence Sales, to really hit the receiver. Didn't give him a chance to collect it, and that'll go down as an incompletion.
Boise uses all 4 of their defensive backs occasionally, and Earl Garland is the most normal nickel corner, but all 4 of their backups get in on the action sometimes. Just to spell out my point even further, 2 weeks ago against Lincoln, Annapolis scored a lot. They scored 4 total touchdowns and a field goal, but almost all of their other drives, and no one's going to score every time, but almost all of their other drives were 3 and outs. Johnson will try to stretch it to the outside. He's got nowhere to go. Buggy Mosley with the TFL that time, helped out of the backfield by Ricky Thornton, who's great at getting pressure. They stopped Johnson for a loss of 2.
Buggy Mosley and Ricky Thornton combined for a big-time loss. That'll set him back 2 yards.
Thornton had 4 TFLs coming into today. That's first among DBs and top 20 in the league, regardless of position. So now another 3rd down and very long here for Curtis and the Navigators. Plenty of time. Curtis will float it down the right seam, has a man wide open. It's hauled in by Chris Armstrong. He atones for an earlier mistake. They needed 12. Armstrong gives them 16.
Big time play, big time throw, and this is exactly what Annapolis needs to do. They need to start moving the ball up the field, and great route, wide open. That'll pick up the first down.
Wide open is right, and he beats the aforementioned nickel corner Earl Garland, and a couple of other yellow shirts were in the area, but nobody was even close, and a big gain for the backup Chris Armstrong, his 2nd catch of the afternoon. Annapolis stays on the field from just outside of midfield. 2.5 gone in the third, 10-point deficit for the home team. Curtis under center, a couple of extra tight ends. Johnson is the tailback. They'll give it to Johnson, and he's blown up once again. Gary Marks surges forward to stop Johnson for a loss of 1.
Great job by defensive coordinator James Troll. The Mud Dogs were in the 4-3. They were expecting the run, and another tackle for loss.
Marks, Jones, and Rhodes, like we've said, have all been fantastic at stopping opponents on offense all season. Another TFL for Marks, give him 4 on the season. 2nd down and 11. Annapolis once again behind the chain. C.J. Arthur stuck on 1 catch. Curtis will float it over the middle. Has a man wide open there. Short gain on 2nd down. That's Frank Hubbard, the other backup wide receiver. He's known as the big play guy. We've seen him make some big plays over the course of the season. He picks up 5 that time.
The Mud Dogs in his zone defense weren't giving Curtis anything deep. They know he's looking for C.J. Arthur. All he had was the backup wide receiver, Hubbard, over the middle. That'll bring up 3rd and 6.
My amateur count, Mike, 1 catch for Arthur, 1 catch for Crow, 1 catch for Ochoa to this point of the game. Curtis feeling the heat. Now he's going to take off and run. He slides as he crosses the line to gain, and now there's a penalty flag. Just the 2nd carry of the season for Cameron Curtis. And my guess, Mike, is this is going to be a late hit tacked on to the end of the run.
Late hit, number 22, defense.
See from our pal R62, it is indeed a late hit against Ricky Thornton, the corner. Curtis had started to slide, but he's 6'8". It takes him a long time to get down to the turf. Thornton hit him up high. That's going to be a bonus 15 yards tacked on to the 8-yard run.
When the quarterback starts to run, the DB's eyes start to get wide, their mouth starts watering, and it's really tough for them to hold back. And Curtis, great job. He felt the pressure. It came in around him. He got out of there quick. He's one of the more intelligent players, but he paid for that.
You really don't see that very often from any quarterback, and Curtis is by no means a run-first quarterback. There are some more guys in the minor league who are more adept at it, but we don't see quarterbacks take off and run very often. Big time for that from Curtis. Now on first down and fling it down the right seam. It's hauled in this time. Christopher Ochoa makes his second catch, a gain of 13.
Great look by Curtis. He's starting to feel it. Maybe that hit woke him up, got him a little upset. But Ochoa with a nice slant pattern. And right there, you can see the precision passing by Curtis.
Right behind the coverage, behind the linebacker Jones, and in front of the safety Thomas Smith and Nick Rhodes, and a big gain for Ochoa. Now Annapolis inside the red zone for the first time in a long time. First and goal from outside the 15, the 10-point deficit here at home. 7 in the box here for Boise. They show blitz from the outside. Send a delayed blitz as Annapolis hands it off to Johnson, and Johnson rumbles forward for a gain of 6. Best carry in a while for Scott Johnson.
Nick Rhodes just made a tackle-saving touchdown effort right there by Johnson. I wasn't sure if he was going to get there in time, because if he didn't, Johnson was putting up 6.
Rhodes top 5 in the league in tackles and solo tackles, and first among defensive backs in both of those categories. He is a ferocious hitter, one of my favorite members of the secondary for sure. Second down and 4 from inside the 10. Trips to the left for Annapolis. Drop back for Curtis. Now play action. Curtis under pressure will fling it out to Johnson out of the backfield. Spins forward for a gain of 3 before he's shouldered to the turf by Clay Jones.
Nice play by the Navigators. Wasn't really sure if Curtis was going to take off again, but Scott Johnson came out of the backfield, made himself open. It's 3rd and 1. They're looking for either the first down, Tim, or more importantly, they'd love to score.
I thought Johnson was going to be blown up. I thought Curtis was going to be blown up, but somehow Annapolis turns that into a gain of 3. On 3rd and 1, they'll give it to Johnson, and he's blown up for a loss. Thomas Smith, the free safety, selling out on the run. He finds a run, and he stops Johnson for a loss of 1, 4th down.
The run safety blitz by the free safety, Thomas Smith out of Detroit, Michigan. He puts down Johnson, and the Navigators will have to bring out the kicker.
It's good on those solo tackles whenever he gets the opportunity. Top 15 in the league in solo tackles, top 5 among defensive backs, and he's got another one stopping Johnson. That's his first TFL of the season for Thomas Smith. Here comes William Richardson, his second field goal attempt of the game, and he knocks it through from 24. Richardson now 6 of 6 on the season, and Annapolis drives all the way down the field. They have to settle for 3, but it's a 1-score game now.
Yeah, what a battle we have today, Tim. I love the SFL minor league action. But before we move forward, my friend, if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
You know, all week long, we put in our work, we do our research, we love to watch the games. But now it's just a great time. I'd really like to mention Ross Napoli for all the hard work and time he spent. He makes us sound smarter than we really are. So thank you, Ross, for immediately making your impact in the SFL.
He's made a huge impact on our team, that's for sure, and we appreciate the kind words that we've received. But Ross Napoli has been a huge help for us over the last couple of weeks, helping to compile some stats, some insight from behind the scenes. We really appreciate the insight of an active player. He's been a very good player for San Jose, and he's a big player on our team as well. So thank you to Ross Napoli for his help behind the scenes getting us to this point. San Jose coming up in the next game at 6 p.m. Eastern against Birmingham. Critical game for both of those teams. First down here for Boise. Gordon will fling it back to his tight end, Delaney Nash. Quick gain and stopped by the defensive tackle, Sean Cricket.
That's been the game plan today. They've used Nash nicely. He picks up 2. They're up to the Boise 31.
I've got him at 4 catches. My count has been knocked off by some of the issues that we've had technically, but doing what we can. 4 catches for Nash, 3 for Martin, 4 for Sweets. That's about par for the course for this Boise offense. Delayed handoff to Highwind. He's hit from behind and wrenched down by Eric Hammer, and a couple of defensive backs. Looked like Jared Brody was there to help. These 2 middle linebackers are putting on a show today.
That's the puzzling thing right now as the Mud Dogs are up by 7. They knew Highwind was going to be involved, but really he hasn't touched the ball much, and they are up by a touchdown.
the slowest game for Fox Highland since week 1, no question. We don't have his exact stats, but believe me, he's been lethal over the last couple of weeks. On 3rd down and 8, Gordon has a man. It's Mark Martin making his 4th catch, and he snakes his way up towards the line to gain, but he stopped about a yard short. More good rallying defense by Annapolis, and that'll force a Mud Dogs punt.
Fantastic job by the Navigators defense. They're coming off the field goal. They want to get their powerful offense back on the field and see what they can do and air it out.
3:30 left in the 3rd. Boise on top by 7, and Cameron Collier, as we mentioned, now once again the only star punter in the league. So if you're interested, punters, if you're out there, there's lots of space for you available here in the minor league to try to make your impact. Good return here from Jared Crow, spins out to the 29. Otis Boudreau was the other star punter, and now he's moved over to kicker for Madison. Made a field goal in their win earlier today. So Collier is once again the only star punter. So there's plenty of punter spots available, plenty of offensive line spots available. You want to get involved, you know what to do. Go to the website, www.simulation.football. Join the Discord, and you can get on your way to #Make It Impact in the SFL. Only 3 minor league games in the regular season left, however, so act fast. 20-13 a lead here for Boise, and Curtis flings it over the middle. Ochoa is there for his 3rd catch and a gain of 1.
Good coverage by Ricky Thornton. Didn't really let Ochoa get free, and he brings him down. Only a gain of 1.
If you want to keep up with how your player and team are doing this season, visit simulationfl.net for standings, leaderboards, and sortable team stats. The rookie big board is there too, tracking the next superstars in the SFL. And if you check out that rookie big board, the first 2 names that you'll see are CJ Arthur and Fox Highland, 2 best rated players in the minor league, both on the field here this afternoon. 2nd down and 9. Curtis has a man wide open down the center of the field, and it's hauled in for a huge gain of better than 15. That's Lawrence Perry. I think it's Grant Nelson. No, I'm sorry, 48, Greg Soto. 48, not 49. The fullback, Greg Soto. He doesn't get involved in the passing offense very much, and a huge game for the fullback there.
Greg Soto finally getting into the game. Heard reports that he was out late last night partying, but man, oh man, he made a big play on that catch.
And Indianapolis has by far the fewest fullback touches across the league, just 2 total, both catches, not a single carry coming into today, by far the fewest in the league. Big gain for him there. Curtis will fling it over to the far sideline on 1st down. It's hauled in once again by Ochoa. Now suddenly, Mike, we've seen Ochoa come to play, his 4th catch.
Yeah, Ochoa and the rest of the receivers look like they're going to be part of the game plan. CJ Arthur, unfortunately, he's more of a decoy. But if they can get 5 yards a pass, they'll take that positive yardage. That's what they're looking for.
He's got 5 or more catches in 2 games, 2 or fewer catches in the other 2. So just kind of as a symbol of the boomer bust nature of this offense, I guess, Christopher Ochoa now has 4 today. 2nd down and 5. He's looking for Ochoa again, and the pass is knocked away incomplete. Nothing he could do about that one. Great coverage by Boise. 3rd down.
Big Nick Rhodes just laid a hit on Ochoa. Great pass by Curtis. Put it right where it needed to be, but the hit jarred it loose.
And that was close to being dangerous. I'm with you, Mike. That was a greatly thrown ball behind Clay Jones, but if he was there a step earlier, he might have gotten his feet on it. But either way, Nick Rhodes was there to break it up. He's great in pass coverage, great tackler. There are a couple of really good safeties across this league as well, and Rhodes is one of the best. Another 3rd down here for Annapolis. They'll trip it out to the left. CJ Arthur is one of those 3. Curtis fakes the look right. Now he'll fake the handoff, and he's blown up. A loss of 7 on 3rd down. This Boise front has been great today.
Excellent job by number 91, the big defensive tackle, A.K. Jones. He had 2 sacks last game against Lincoln, and right there he picks up his 3rd.
2 sacks for him last week, 3.5 for Gary Burney last week, and that's why I said both of these 2 teams have excellent defensive tackles. They both have a great pair of linebackers. Both have 1 or 2 great players in the secondary. And so for these 2 teams, and the offenses have stolen the show, is of how great Boise is at running and how great Annapolis is at passing, but a bunch of really good defensive players here, and A.K. Jones steals the show on that one. Here comes Rand Fullman to punt again. Matt Iorio has nowhere to go. More good coverage here by Annapolis. That's Grant Nelson on the stop for the Navigators.
This Boise Mud Dog team on the road, they have to be excited with the way these first 3 quarters have gone. Their defensive line has stepped it up over the last 2 games. You mentioned it, Tim. Against Lincoln, they had 7 huge sacks. They add their 8th there. Coming into that Lincoln game 2 weeks ago, they only had 1 on the entire season.
They've only given up one as well, so they're trending in the right direction. They get a man to jump off sides. I think that was Tank Cut on the defensive end for Annapolis. They give it to Highwind for a gain of 2. We'll check the flag, but sure looks like an offside coming up here against the Navigators. We've seen a lot of penalties over the last couple of weeks. It is indeed encroachment against Annapolis. Get Tank Cut jumping offside, and a free 5 yards on first down here for the Mud Dogs.
Hutt just got a little excited, read the snap count, and jumped a little early. That'll move the ball up 5 yards.
He really wants to make another play like he did a couple of weeks ago. He was good last week as well. Now he's got 2 total sacks, 3 total TFLs, and of course a 27-yard pick 6 against Lincoln, the first by a defensive lineman in the SFL in years, and the first and only so far here in the minor league. They get him to jump again. This time it was somebody on the interior, but they'll hand it off to Fox Highwind, and he picks up 9 running up the middle. I think it was Radson that time who jumps off sides. Back-to-back encroachment penalties here against Annapolis.
Frustration starting to set in. The Mud Dogs offensive line led by Butch Menner. He's starting to push the defensive front back. But anyway, that was going to be a free play and a first down for Highwind.
So they'll decline it, of course, and another nice gain for Highwind. Again, we're doing our best with live stats as we have them, but Highwind has been dominant the last couple of weeks. He's had better than 140 yards on the ground in each of the last 3 games after he went for just 50 on 25 carries in week 1 against San Jose. And almost all those 50 yards came on 1 carry, which went for about 35. Time ticking down here in the third quarter. Fresh set of downs from the 34. They'll fling it out to Highwind, and he's stopped up in the backfield by Gagne and Eric Hammer. Their killer days continue, a loss of 2.
Eric Hammer, Jeff Gagne, they're the 2 big linebackers that roam in the middle of the field, and they destroyed Highwind on that little out pass.
Jeff Gagne has been excellent in this game. No disservice to Eric Hammer. He's been great too, but Gagne owns the line of scrimmage despite being a linebacker. He's got another TFL. That's the end of the third quarter. It's been a busy game, a lot of action, and Boise leads it 20-13 as we go to the fourth. This is the SFL Minor League on YouTube. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon.
In the chat.
I never remember to say that. It's a thing that I just don't do. I'm sorry, folks, but yes, you know what to do. 4's up. It's time for the fourth quarter. Tim Hackett, Mike Improto with Cameron Irvine behind the scenes. Thanks for joining us. Game 2 out of 4 on this Wednesday quadruple header. Gordon to throw on the far sideline. Has Charlie Sweets once again. Sweets hauls it in on a 3-yard out.
After the 2 early interceptions, Spencer Gordon has looked like the better of the 2 QBs. Nice little pass there. He threw it over the linebacker. They'll pick up 3.
Eye test wise, Mike, I thought Spencer Gordon had his best game of the season last week, and really the stats back it up. 75% completion percentage, that's his best. Second most passing yards, threw 2 touchdowns, that's the best. Didn't throw a pick for the first time this season, and he's had an up and down game once again today. On 3rd down, he hits a man coming back. I think it's Sweets again, and Sweets is blown up by Eric Hammer. It is indeed Charlie Sweets. 6th catch of the afternoon for him, but he's 3 yards short of the line to gain.
Not what they were looking for. Not really sure if Sweets has been in the game mentally. He's come up short a couple of times. 2 catching passes up short on in the first half, coming up short to gain a first down, and there again wasn't able to find the marker.
Just short of the yard marker, and that's just not going to get it done. It's not a great design, not a great result for Boise. They'll have to punt it away from Cameron Collier, and Jared Crow takes it up to about the 29. So once again, Annapolis has the ball, and this boomer bust offense has a chance to drive down the field and try to tie it up.
Looking for their protection from Cody Heinen and newly acquired center Dusty Wilson out of Vidor, Texas. Cam Curtis is going to need some time, and he's going to need to look for C.J. Arthur if they want to tie this game up.
Curtis is off of his worst game of the season last week and countered to Gordon coming off of his best game. They'll give it to Johnson, who's been quiet for almost all game. That's going to continue. Gary Marks puts him to sleep. A loss of 1. Clay Jones was there as well. Big surprise.
The Boise Mud Dogs defensive line, they've come this far. They're in the fourth quarter on the road. They're not going to give it up that easy.
Really hasn't been a whole lot doing for Scott Johnson, who's been one of the more productive running backs when he's been in. Of course, he splits time with Hugo Reynosa, who's been great at catching the ball, better than Johnson has when he's been in the game, but just not a lot doing for Johnson today. He'll run it to the outside, and a nice hole this time for Johnson. Running around right tackle, and he picks up 3, stopped again by Gary Marks and Thomas Smith.
Nice vision by Johnson. He bounced off the back of the line a couple of times. Wasn't sure if he was going to get anything positive, and he turns it in for 4 yards.
Among all running backs with 2 starts, Johnson was second in yards per carry, and third in total carries, and top 10 in the league in all of those if you figure in all the running backs who have started every game so far. Now Curtis with a little sidearm pass looking for Jared Crow, and it's hauled in by Jared Crow. On 3rd down and 6, he goes right to the line to gain, and Annapolis moves the sticks.
Terrific job by the Crow. He knew where the sticks were. He caught the pass, put the ball, and took the nose and put it over the line. That'll keep the drive alive.
Jared Crow told you this week, Mike, that he blamed himself for their loss last week against Ottawa, the only undefeated team. They didn't give up a single touchdown and still lost the game, but the rest of his team told Jared Crow, we're not going to let you take credit for the loss. He's helping them stay in this game. Scott Johnson is stopped up for a loss once again by Gary Marks.
Gary Marks out of Pottsville, PA. He knows what's at stake. He wants the Boise Mud Dogs to go to 3-2. He's not going to let Scott Johnson rip off any more big runs.
Marks has got to have 7 or 8 tackles already in this game. He was second in the league in tackles before today, behind only Devin King, but he trailed in by just 1 in King's San Jose flight. Coming up next on 2nd down and long, they'll fling it out to the far side. It's Alex Daniel, and he gets just across the line to gain. Marks was there again, but a gain of 12 for Daniel.
These Navigators receivers, they're smart, they're alert, they know where the first down chains are, and Daniel gets just enough to pick up a new set of downs.
Daniel had only 3 catches for 18 yards over the first 2 weeks, 8 catches for 72 over the last 2 weeks, and I think that's his second catch of the afternoon. From just outside of midfield, now Annapolis will get a man to jump offside. Free play for Curtis, he'll fling it over to the far sideline. It looks like Arthur, and Arthur falls. It is indeed C.J. Arthur falls out of bounds and makes the catch for a gain of about 4. We'll check the flag.
Neutral zone infraction.
Surprise, it is indeed. Offsides encroachment against Boise. That's against Buggy Mosley out of Morristown, New Jersey, and a free 5 yards here for Annapolis.
Annapolis doesn't care, just as long as the ball keeps moving forward, Tim. That's what they need right now. They're down by 7.
This is a good drive for the Navigators, their best in a while. We mentioned it's either scoring or 3 and out a lot of times over the course of the season for Annapolis, and now they've got a sustained drive going, trailing by 7 about halfway through the 3rd quarter. 3 wides and a tight end. Johnson's the tailback. Curtis will fling it out to Scott Johnson. Breaks a tackle and picks up 2. Could have been stopped for a loss. I think it was Ricky Thornton, the cornerback. It was Thornton. Couldn't bring Johnson down, and he picks up 2 through the air.
Thought he might have C.J. Arthur on the long fade. Opted to go to Johnson. That was dangerous, but Johnson turned nothing into something.
Johnson doesn't catch it too much, only had 4 catches coming into today. Just by comparison, in his 2 starts, Hugo Reynosa had 12 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, second most catches and first most receiving yards for a running back. So just really a complete paradigm shift when their 2 running backs are interchanged. On play action here on 2nd down, Curtis has a man on the far sideline. It's dropped and intercepted. Is it the stat man again? He gets out across the 40-yard line. No, it's not. It's Earl Garland, the nickel corner, not Santagria. But either way, another critical takeaway by this Boise defense. Second interception from Cameron Curtis, and the Mud Dogs take over with a 7-point lead.
Are you serious, Tim? Off the hands of Jared Crow and right into the hands of Garland. Boise's on the top of their game now, and they're excited. They're in business on the 38. If they can put up 7 points here, that could be the first nail in the Navigator coffin.
I haven't even spelled it out this drastically, Mike, but Annapolis best passing offense in terms of yards per game this season. Boise last in the league in pass defense. They've got 2 picks of 2 takeaways, I guess I should say, of Cameron Curtis today. Highwind picks up 4 through the air.
Moving forward, the clock keeps ticking. Boise's in position now in the 34. If they can pick up the first down, that'll put them in field goal range at the very least.
3rd interception of the season for Curtis after he didn't have any over the first 3 games. He's really slowed down over the last couple of games, it has to be said. Annapolis showing blitz from the left side of the defense. Low snap, Gordon Fields. The give to Highwind on the left side, and he's wrenched down for a loss. Another nice stop by this Annapolis defense, and Eric Hammer leading the line once again.
Eric Hammer, he leads the defense for this Navigator team. He's not ready to give up.
There's slow day brewing for Highwind after he's torched defenses the last 3 weeks, but Eric Hammer has been fantastic. He and Clay Jones going toe-to-toe in the battle of two of the best middle linebackers in the league. 3rd down and 8 for Gordon. Big spot for Boise. Launched over the middle of the field, and it's batted away as if on cue. Eric Hammer is there. Reached up his big right hand and smacked the ball to the turf. 4th down.
Eric Hammer, once again, he roams the middle of the field, got his hand up, and knocked that one down.
He's everywhere, Mike. I mean, Eric Hammer has been everywhere. He and Jeff Gagne have surged when they've needed to, dropped back into coverage. I mean, again, no slight to the Boise linebackers, but those two have been fantastic in this game. And so Cameron Collier will come on to punt with his toes touching the midfield line. Less than 6 minutes to go. He steps across midfield, nearly sees the punt blocked, and an off-balance punt here from Collier. Fair catch signaled for by Crow, and he let the ball bounce inside the 5. It's down at the 3. Perfectly executed by Boise. A net of about 34 or so. Collier gets the job done.
Cam Collier, what a great punt. He did his job. I know he told me he's a big fan of watching from the sidelines because when he's not in the game, that means the Mud Dogs are doing well. But right there, he did what he needed to do. He got the job done.
Delivers when he's called upon, that's for sure. Now 1st down from the 3-yard line. 5.5 to go in the 4th. Curtis will fling it out to Scott Johnson. Running room for Johnson. Stays in bounds, and tailback picks up 5 through the air. Stopped once again by Marks, and there's a look at Gary Marks. 6 tackles. Seems like a whole lot more if you ask me, but 4 of them have gone for a loss. That time he stops Johnson for a gain of 5.
Good play call by the Navigators. Most times teams will try to run it when they're pinned back close to their end zone, but the swing pass was effective. That'll give the Navigator offense a little bit more breathing room.
You know, Annapolis likes to run it from this situation. Like you said, they will run it here, and Scott Johnson has nowhere to go. More great pressure, and once again, it's Gary Marks stopping Johnson for a loss of 1. Boise shows blitz. They'll run it again for Johnson. He spins around the 10-yard line and gets no further. Clay Jones was in the area, as well as Thomas Smith, the free safety. A gain of 3 for Johnson. That brings up 4th down.
The Navigators and Ben Jackson can't be too happy with that series. They were in a hurry-up offense. Surprised they ran the ball. Thought it was more of a passing situation.
Now they're going to hurry back up to the line on 4th and 2. Curtis is going to throw over the middle of the field. It's knocked away and complete. He had 2 wide receivers there. Arthur and Alex Daniel, the tight end, they almost ran into each other. Annapolis turns it over on downs at their own 11-yard line.
The second target of the game for C.J. Arthur. It was 4th and 1, and he dropped the pass.
They ran into each other. They were both running slants inside. They were both open, and neither of them could decide who to make the catch. Daniel was right there, too.
Questionable decision by this Navigator offense.
Wow.
Not sure what they were doing. Plenty of time left, and now they give the Mud Dogs the ball on their 11 with 4 minutes left to go.
Boise could ice it here if they score. Now they'll give it to Highwind. 4:20 to go in the 4th, and he's blown up. Not to be overlooked, Michael Rochester, the 3rd member of this linebacker trio, blows up Highwind for a loss.
I don't think the Mud Dogs are going to do anything crazy. Giving the ball to Highwind's the smart decision, but the Navigators know they like to run, especially this close to the end zone.
Stack the box here. 8 guys total in the box or around it here for Annapolis. Offset I with an extra tight end for Boise. Now Annapolis will crowd the line. 3:45 to go in the 4th. 7-point lead. Again, the handoff to Highwind, and Annapolis was ready. You called it, Mike. They sold out for the run, and Jeff Gagne was there to blow him up.
Great job by Gagne, but I think Boise's doing the smart thing. If they kick the field goal, they'll be up by 2 scores.
You're absolutely right, of course. Now 3.5 to go in the 4th, and that could seal it for Boise. There's not a lot of time left for Annapolis. They barely took 90 seconds off the clock after running a hurry-up one of those plays and then decided to go for it on 4th down. Now Boise will spread it out perhaps on 3rd down and 13 from the 14. And will take his time. Play clock at 4. The clock at 2. They get the snap off, and now they'll run the draw to Highwind. Room for Highwind, spins around, and that room runs out. Nice rallying tackle by Solomon Kane, stopping Highwind for a short gain. 4th and 7 now from the 8s.
This is exactly what the offense of the Boise Mud Dogs wanted to do. They took about 1.5 minutes off the clock, and they'll bring on Sammy Steele.
Redemption story continues. He missed 2 field goals, including one that doinked off the crossbar, so tough to blame him for that. Just not quite enough leg for a rookie kicker. It's understandable, but he still missed 2, even though Boise was able to win the game despite those misses last week. He's now a perfect 2 of 2. This would put them up 2 possessions. Clock ticking down under 5. Snap it at 2. They'll hold down. The kick from Sammy Steele sails through. It's a hat trick for Steele. Good from 24 for the second time. And Boise takes a 10-point lead again.
Those were the questions at the beginning of the game. Could the Mud Dogs stop the Annapolis passing game? And could the Navigators stop the Boise running game? And right now, the Mud Dogs have definitely stopped the Navigators passing game. They're up by 10. And the team that was last against the pass coming in is now looking like they're going to steal this win.
Most points that Annapolis has allowed so far this season. The previous high was 16. Crow was blown up at the 25. Boise now with a 10-point lead. And to your point, Mike, those were our two big questions. We knew about the stars on offense. Annapolis' passing game, could Boise slow that down? And then on the other side, could Annapolis slow down the Boise run game? And really, they have. They've slowed down the run game as effectively as you can ask. Again, Fox Highwind was over 140 yards the last 3 weeks and not even close to that today. So the defense has done its job, but the Boise defense has just been that much better, and that defensive touchdown looms very large. 2:15 left in the game, 10-point deficit for Annapolis. Curtis flings it out to Scott Johnson out of the backfield. He picks up 6. Now the Navigators will run the hurry up. Curtis back to the line in the shotgun with 2:05 to go in the fourth. All day for Curtis. Bombs it down the left seam looking for Arthur, and it's knocked away incomplete. Thomas Smith was there as well as Nick Rhodes. Pass ball is incomplete with 2:01 to go.
The Mud Dogs secondary has been flying around all game long. They've been hitting hard, and another huge hit right there by Nick. Don't call me Dusty Rhodes.
The pride of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Scenic Winston-Salem timed that hit perfectly. Annapolis runs that play a lot. It's the deep slant for Arthur. He had it. Arthur had it in his hands, but Rhodes was able to knock it away. Last play before the 2-minute warning. Annapolis needs this here to have a chance. We're down in 4. All day for Curtis against a 3-man rush. He'll take the safe option and check it down. I think that was to Daniel, the tight end. They moved the sticks, and that brings us to the 2-minute warning. 1:56 to go in the fourth. A critical game for both teams. Annapolis on upset watch. This is the SFL Minor League on YouTube. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. 2 more games still to come. San Jose at Birmingham at 6. And then the nightcap, 4-0 Ottawa at 1-3 Lincoln coming up at 8-7 Central. 2 more good games. Don't go anywhere. You got a good game here in Maryland this afternoon. Curtis on first down. We'll fling it over to Scott Johnson. He decides to stay in bounds, and Clay Jones makes him pay for that mistake. Gain of 6.
Needed to get out of bounds. The clock keeps ticking. We're down to a minute and a half. The Navigators need to strike quick.
Try to deep over the left seam. He was looking for Ochoa that time. That's the patented Navigator play. Ochoa had it in his arms, couldn't haul it in. Did you see his 3rd drop of the game?
That's been the story all afternoon long for this Navigators offense. The passes were there. The receivers just haven't been able to take them in.
The 2nd straight time, 3rd down and 4 coming up here for Annapolis. They've been solid on these situations to this point of the season. Exactly 40%, good for 4th in the league. They need it here, down by 10. 97 seconds left in regulation. Curtis directly under center, 3rd and 4. He'll fling it out to Johnson. Johnson has running room, gets to the outside, spins out across midfield. Great work by Johnson, 1st down.
As long as there's time on the clock, Scott Johnson's going to keep playing. He wants to win.
Can't count this offense out there that good. Curtis will fake the handoff to Johnson. They'll run play action. Curtis is in trouble, and he goes down. Gary Burney out of Texas brings him down, a loss of 6.
The pocket collapsed quick, and Burney slammed him down.
All these sacks coming in hot for Annapolis over the last couple of weeks. Curtis trying to get back ahead of schedule. He'll float it over to Johnson, and Johnson picks up 2. The Navigators will burn their first time out.
Fantastic job by the free safety, Thomas Smith, coming up to make the tackle, making the Navigators burn another TO.
This is a show-out game for Boise, no doubt. We knew that this game was going to be tight. Both of these teams are really good. They both think that they deserve to be in the playoffs. We thought Annapolis was one of the best teams in the league. Boise trying to entrench themselves into that echelon of elite teams this afternoon. They've got a 10-point lead. Exactly a minute to go. Curtis launching it down the right seam. It's hauled in. Chris Armstrong out of nowhere gets out inside the 20-yard line. A stop made by Nick Rhodes. He stopped him at the 21. A huge moment for the backup.
Tremendous spinning catch by Nick Rhodes. He hauled that in one-handed, and he gets out of bounds. The Navigators need to put up points, and they got to do it now.
backup wideouts have come to play at big times and big moments over the course of the season for Annapolis. Third catch today for Armstrong. Again, 1 for Arthur, 2 for Crow, and 4 for Ochoa or thereabouts. Less than a minute to go. Still a 10-point deficit for Annapolis. 3 wides and 2 tailbacks from the 21. Curtis launching it down the left seam. That was a dangerous pass. It's hauled in somehow. Rosca Santagria from the turf brings it into his chest. Boise seals the game with a pick.
Rasta Santagria is playing himself into the MVP of this game. A team on defense, the Boise Mud Dogs, who ranked last against the pass, the Navigators, who've ranked first in just about every category, including the #1 ranked passing offense, has been shut down all day long, and Rosca Santagria has been one of the reasons why.
No idea how he hauled that in. No challenge coming from Ben Jackson and company. Boise takes over inside the 5, and now it's time to feed the Fox. Fox and the Hounds, whatever you want to say. There's loads of, I loved that from Benji Matson last week, incidentally. The Fox and the Hounds moniker is fantastic. He picks up 3. Annapolis has to use their second timeout.
What does the Fox say, Tim?
He says, let's get us this win. 50 seconds left. There's loads of great jokes. For video game fans, you've got Star Fox, classic rock fans, people of the high wind to hell. Here he goes on a high wind to hell. He picks up just about 3. Not a lot doing there. More good defense by Annapolis. That's Hayden Williams, the free safety, and the Navigators will use their last timeout.
Outstanding job by this Boise team, top to bottom, the coaching staff, the scouts, and the Boise Mud Dog defense. Usually the Navigators score about 22 points a game. That led the league, and this defense has just shut them down.
Great point by you. That's the first in the league in points, and Boise allows the 3rd most points per game at better than 18 per game. They've only allowed 13 in this game. Annapolis stops Fox Highwind for a gain of 1. That's Mark Radson on the stop. No timeouts left, though. 30 seconds left. Boise will have to punt it, but it's all academic here for Annapolis.
Both teams on the road in the first 2 early games, the Madison Lynx and the Boise Mud Dogs, have come away with victories. They play each other in week 6. Annapolis hosts Birmingham, and those 2 games are going to be huge.
Next week, that is the key matchup now. Boise against Madison, a pair of 3 and 2 teams. That's going to be massive. Cameron Collier takes his time, snaps it with 2. 1 second left on the game clock. Jared Crow will field at the 35. Doesn't get a whole lot further. Boise goes on the road, an upset win. The Mud Dogs are in pole position now in the playoff push. Boise wins it 23-13.
Can't say enough about the job this Boise defense did. They only held the Navigators to 312 yards, but more importantly, their defense had the turnovers. They came up with big sacks, and when they needed to put points on the board, they used their offense through their defense, and that was the difference in today's game. The Boise Mud Dogs answered the question. They stopped the Annapolis passing game.
3 times now, Mike, Annapolis has gone up against a good defense, or at least a hot defense like Boise is, and all 3 times now they've lost. This is their first loss with Scott Johnson as the tailback. This is their first loss against a team that was not in the top 2, like Albuquerque and Ottawa, and this really answers one question. We thought, Mike, my question coming in, this game, the results would seal one of these 2 teams in the upper echelon of the SFLm. Right now, that honor belongs to Boise. They were great today.
Boy, do they give themselves a great chance to move up and get into that playoff race. They're 3 and 2. They're tied with the Madison Lynx, and I can't wait for week 6.
And it's surprising to say, but Annapolis, which has looked great, it's not over yet. They still have 3 games left, so don't get me wrong. And they might be the favorite team in each of their next 3, even with these last 2 losses aside. They've now got to win those next 3, you would think, to even give themselves a chance.
There's no mistakes that can be made for this Annapolis team anymore. They gave one away here at home. Next week they host Birmingham, and they need to win big time.
All right, here comes the player of the game. Any final guesses, Mike? Well, you said it earlier. I think that counts.
It's funny. I was going to say I wanted to give it to Rosca Santagria, but the AI usually doesn't give it to the defense.
Right.
I was going to go with the quarterback, Spencer Gordon, but happy to see well-deserved MVP of the game, Rosca Santagria. He really was the difference, Tim.
think that counts as a correct prediction for you. You're 5 of 5. Mike Caprota, great job. And Rosca Santagria is the MVP. He brought it Tim's for sure with that scoop and score, his second defensive touchdown of the season. Mike Caprota, your final thoughts.
Thank you for allowing the SFL into your living rooms. Now allow the SFL into your dreams.
Boise goes on the road and grounds this Navigator offense. The Mud Dogs win at 23-13. For our producer, Cameron Irvine, and for my partner, Mike Caprota, I've been Tim Hackett. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long.